Hello and welcome. Now, it's been a little while since I recorded my last video, and since then, Studio 397 have released a couple of new cars for rFactor 2. If you keep up to date with rF2, now this might be old news, but today, it's my turn to also load up the brand new, laser-scanned Nordschleife and take both of these new cars for a spin. And knowing my driving, probably literally. Okay, so here we are at the amazing Nordschleife. Studio 397 have recently released this absolute masterpiece, and considering the level of detail they went to when making the C-Ring, I'm very excited to get out on track. This first car I'm going to be trying out from the recently released 2 Strong pack is the new Aston Martin Vantage Gte. Since this car was introduced in the real world as an endurance racer, it's taken part in the 2018-2019 season of the World Endurance Championship, securing 2 victories along the way. In rFactor 2, this car sits alongside the Porsche, BMW and Corvette in the GTE class and helps expand the field even more. Traditionally, I've been a big advocate of the BMW M8 GTE, though, having driven it in a lot of my previous videos. So let's go and see how the Aston compares. Okay, so here we are in rFactor 2 at the brand new laser-scanned Nordschleife, driving the Aston Martin GTE car. Now, I just want to reiterate, this is absolutely the first time I've sat in this car, save for a few minor seat adjustments to get the position right in VR. And it's the first time I've ever driven this configuration of the circuit in rFactor 2. Now, I am familiar with the Nordschleife from other sims, so I do know where I'm going. But this is going to be a whole new experience, so yeah, let's take it nice and easy. Let's get up to speed and let's see if we can put a lap together. Without any further ado, let's give it some revs. And have a very anticlimactic exit to the pit lane as the traction control kicks in and kills the revs again completely. Anyway, let's head out on track, and immediately I can just see the trackside surroundings. It's beautiful. So lush, so much trackside detail. Now I am running the settings a little bit higher than normal, so I apologise in advance if there are a few stutters throughout the course of this recording. But I am the only car on track. There's no AI, there's no advanced settings, as in my usual super complicated sim hub overlays which I use for streaming. So hopefully I've got a little bit more CPU, I can push the graphics, just give you guys the best experience of what it's like to drive this car around this circuit in VR. Now I am very used to the GT3 version of the Aston Martin, as I've been driving that over the course of the past few weeks in the VLMC Championship, which if you haven't checked out those videos, go and do that. Go and check out the live streams, guys. Awesome race at the pre-season round at Silverstone and the VLMC. Loved it. Got a decent result for Zancho. A heap of fun as well, which is what it's all about really. Anyway, the GT3 car has ABS, this car doesn't. It's something I'm being very conscious of on this outlap, is not slamming the brakes, because it's going to lock the tyres and it's going to bring the rear round, so I'm just very conscious of that, guys. I don't want to put it in the fence early in the lap as the rear gets a little bit loose there. Ooh, very, very loose actually. I think I might have to bring the brake bias forward a little bit. Bring it a few clicks. I'm going to dial up the traction control as well, just while we get up to speed with the tyres and the brakes here at the Nordschleife. Wow, the level of detail here is insane. It just, wow. I don't really know what to say, guys, apart from it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. There's just so much detail. The track is just so, it just feels so dense. And it actually feels very narrow. Well, I know it's an obvious thing to say because the Nordschleife is a very narrow track, a very twisty, tight track. But no other sim really conveys it quite like this, to be honest with you, as we now head towards the slowest corner on the track. Nudge it in. And I just find myself, I just want to look into the scenery. I don't want to look at the track, I want to look into the mountains. How good is that, guys? No point getting distracted though. When you're racing around at full speed and it's for points, you won't have a chance to look in the scenery. Doesn't matter how beautiful it is. It's all about the surface detail on the track. How does the laser scan feel? Well, I can safely say it feels amazing. So much detail in the road. Now you can feel every bump. The force feedback in this Aston is pretty good. But then again, we all know that rFactor 2 is pretty amazing when it comes to the force feedback of the physics, so it's kind of what you expect from a Studio 397 release. As we now head up the hill in 6th gear. Just incredible, guys. Feels so good. It looks so good. It's so immersive. They've really done an amazing job here. Ooh, as we knock it down to 5th and get a little bit loose on the rear. Well, I know we could probably take a lot more speed through these corners. I'm just playing it cautious at the moment. Being my first lap, I just want to get a banker in. I don't want to put it in the fence. Because, I mean, it would be quite humorous viewing. It would be quite amazing viewing for you guys. Quite entertaining. But from a perspective of experiencing the track as we head around the carousel here, pop out the top and put the power down gently. It would be great viewing for you, but I want to get the feel for the track. I want to get a lap on the board. You're probably watching this thinking, oh my god, this is so slow. Why is he taking that line? Why is he driving over here? Well, it's all about the warm-up. Wow. Just wow. I can see myself spending days, not hours, days on this circuit. Maybe not consecutively, because it might get a little bit stinky. I need to wash and eat and do all those rather inconvenient biological human function things. But yeah, just wow. Oh, bit wide through there. It's just incredible. I can't wait to have a race here. I can't wait to fire up a full grid. Day-night transitions, dynamic weather, full grid, multi-class. Oh, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so mentally draining though, I'm sure. Because this ain't easy. You need to have your wits about you. There's no room for mistakes. And if you want to do well, you got to go fast. You really got to push the limits. And we all know what happens when I push the limits. There is usually a fence involved. But this Aston sounds good. Whoa, a bit wiggly. It sounds very different to the GT3 car. I was a bit worried that they would just recycle GT3 sounds, but this GTE is meaty-y. Sorry, that was terrible. So we now head on to the straight. Take it all the way up to the top of the revs, pop it into 6th gear, have a little breather as we head towards the end of our outlap. See what kind of top speed we can get. Going on 270 kilometers an hour. 271. No doubt we're going to get a few more Ks when we pop over the top of the hill and gravity takes over. Just gently does it. 274, 275. Can we get 280? No. Very early on the brakes. I still have no idea where the limits are. And I have no idea where the apex is either. Anyway, final corner, sliding through the final corner, and we head on to our first lap. Let's see what kind of time we can put on the board. I'm going to try and avoid the curbs. The curbs are very high around here. They will spit you out by the looks of things. I don't want to risk it. Doing well so far. We now got some temperature into the tyres and the brakes. Car's feeling a lot more grippy. Cold tyres here in rFactor 2 are definitely a thing. Cold brakes are even more of a thing. Take a lot of curb. Ooh, we hear the engine note dipping there as we run the risk of locking the rear axle and sending the car spinning backwards. Through the first sequence of corners, car feels good. Car's gripping up nicely. Let's talk a little bit about just rFactor 2 in general. I mean, they're really coming out with some good content, Studio 397, recently. There's this, the Aston Martin, and obviously this is the McLaren Senna. which I will be trying later in this video, and well, it's going to be a lot faster than this. It's probably going to be a lot bumpier than this as well. It's borderline flat out. Oh, I think I locked the front right a little bit there. Might get a flat spot going through the rest of the lap. Definitely not an optimal line. But yeah, just the content that's coming out recently is just great. Well, obviously the release of Sebring Raceway and all of this endurance content as well. Whoa! Definitely pushing the limits over the rear of the car now a little bit. Oh, hopefully that's not a cut track. No, we're good. It counts. We're still going. Yeah, the rear's very loose. I'm going to move the bias forward a little bit more, I think. Counteract the rear getting loose. And just be careful, I think. Just need to be careful. But yeah, with the release of Sebring, with the release of Le Mans, with the release of the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, the new LMP1 McLaren Senna hyperclass car, and just all of the GTE content, this rFactor 2 is just cementing its position at the top of the list for endurance racing content. And not only rFactor 2 itself, but the SRC, Sim Racing Club, the VLMC Championship, the VEC Championship. If you like endurance racing and you're a sim racer, it's just the place to be. It really is. It's just the pinnacle. It's got all the content. It's got the community. It's got the track. It's got the cars. What more do you want? It's just wow. And Studio 397. I mean, the clue's in the name really. Studio 397, named after 397 laps of Le Mans, the record around Le Mans, of course. It's what they do, and they're really niching down, really specialising in one particular area. I mean, not to say that the recently released Tartus pack for rFactor 2, the single-seater lower Formula Racing cars weren't good, but it just wasn't quite... I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and I'm going to be doing a lot more USF 17 content on this channel in the future. But it just wasn't quite... It didn't fit somehow. It just didn't seem right. This is where they are. This is the direction they're going in. This is what they want to do. And they're doing such a good job. Unlike myself, locking the front left into the carousel there and getting the exit all kinds of wrong. So I'm really enjoying the direction that this sim is taking. And I might be a little bit biased, being a participant of the VLMC this season. I may be extremely biased, but it's just the place to be. It really is. Anyway, onwards with the lap. Let's focus on this some more as we approach the nice, tight, twisty section. This just feels great. It really does. That brake bias has really helped out. The car just wants to grip. How does it compare to the BMW? The BMW M8 GTE, which if you're a follower of this channel, you'll know I've driven many, many times before in my offline endurance races. How does it compare? Well, it's got a lot more front end grip for a start. It feels like the rear is a lot more likely to kill you though. It feels like the brakes are a lot more sensitive too. Like in the BMW, you can definitely mash the brakes a lot more than this Aston. You've got to be a lot more careful on the brakes in this Aston. But it just has that bite. Now, obviously I'm going to be doing some more content on this channel in this car. I'm going to be doing some full races, maybe an hour race at, oh, I don't know, Estoril, Circuit of the Americas, that kind of thing in the next few weeks. To get a proper feel, because this is one lap. To get a proper feel, these are endurance cars. You need to do an endurance race, or at least a stint. So you need to do a full tank, full fuel, just consistency. You need to test the consistency. How does it behave over the course of a full stint? Does the tyres wear off? Does it drink a lot more fuel than the BMW? This is only stuff you can find out by doing a full race, but on the face of it, on one lap, it feels very grippy and very stable, but it feels like it could be a car that keeps you on your toes a lot more than the other ones in the pack. In so much that once you get near the limit, there's not much give. Anyway, approaching the end of the lap, see if we can brake a little bit later than our out lap. Oh, I can brake a lot later than that. I'm being very gentle here. This is not going to be a representative time. Definitely not. But let's see what kind of time we can get. I'm going to wait until we go through the first corner to get a read on our dash, so I don't bin it, but that looks like it was a 6:47.662. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now I'm going to go and do one more lap. I may edit it out. See how I feel. Oh, as we run wide through there and kick out the rear, that's not gonna do our time any good, as we now lock the rears as well, kill the engine again for the second lap running through that corner. I'm going to do another lap, see if I can improve my time, then I'm going to leave it at that. I've definitely got a lot more grip than I think I have. Now that I've said that, that's just tempting fate, that surely is. I'm going to put the commentator's curse on myself. Told ya. Okay, so I decided to try again. I decided to go out for another attempt to see if I could get any better. See if I could improve my time at all. And it feels like a great lap. Now the car is really gripped in. Feels like the tyres are on point. The brakes are on point. What have we done? 6:43, almost exactly. I'm pretty confident with that. I mean, I could get a lot more time, I think, with practice. But I think that's enough for now. I think we should probably leave that for another video and move on. Right then, this is the McLaren Senna. Now normally I would rattle off some numbers and statistics about the car to tell you a little bit more about it, but in reality, this thing doesn't actually exist yet. What you see on the screen right now is an interpretation of the new LMP1 hypercar regulations, set to be introduced into the World Endurance Championship for next season. What Studio 397 have done is provide us with their prediction of what this car will be like, based on actual data from McLaren. It's meant to be comparable to the current LMP1 prototypes, which are actually some of the fastest track cars in the world, so yeah, time to go and give it a go and see how much faster around the Nordschleife it is, provided I can keep it out of the fence, of course. Alright then, here we are, in the McLaren Senna. I've got a feeling this is going to be slightly faster. Something just tells me that. I don't know what, but it's going to be very quick. Now, obviously I've driven the Nordschleife in rFactor 2 before, literally just now in the Aston Martin Gte, but this is the very first time I'm going to be stepping into this car, save for a few minor seat adjustments, so it's all nice in VR. No idea what to expect, apart from just, well, a lot more grip, a lot more speed. Anyway, less waffle, more driving. Let's go and get out on track. Pop the speed limiter off, and away we go. Whoa! Acceleration! Already up to like 230 kilometers an hour. Incredible! In 6th gear. Oh, okay. Ooh, brakes aren't as good as I was expecting, but maybe they're just cold. And it feels like the tyres aren't gripping as well. And also, there's a lot of push on the front. So we'll see how that goes over the course of the lap. But it does seem to take a lot more steering input than the GTE car. Feels like you really have to push it as well over the top of the hill, give it a little bit of a lift. So much aerodynamic grip though. Wow, the car just sticks with the throttle pinned to the bottom. So we're up to 320k. Ooh, can we take it flat? Let's give it a go. Oh, flat easy. Just going to take it nice and easy on the brakes as we get them up to temperature. Wow. Very, very, very much a case of acceleration understeer. You plant the throttle and it wants to go in a straight line. Anyway, let's take it easy over the top of the hill. Let's bleed off the speed. I know this car could be so much faster, but I just don't want to put it in the fence just yet. Don't want to throw it away. Only a minute into the run. But this is going to be rapid. Feels like it needs a lot of peak revs as well. If you change gear too early, you're just going to bog the car down and into the fence. There we go. You guys didn't see that. Okay, so through the power of video editing, we are now back on the track with a completely undamaged McLaren Senna GTR LMP1 car. And I'd be lying if I told you it only took one attempt to get back to this point on the track as we almost put it in the fence again. Jeez. It's got some very interesting handling characteristics, this car. I'll be honest with you guys. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. I've realised that the brakes, although probably by the standards of the Aston are incredible, because this car just builds up speed so quickly, because the acceleration is so nuts, the brakes seem pretty bad. You have to brake a lot earlier than you expect. And yeah, the acceleration happens in a very constant kind of way, as opposed to the current LMP1 cars that we see, the hybrids. They have the battery deployment. They have this sudden burst of energy at the start of the acceleration zone and then kind of peak. They kind of level off, whereas this just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. It just keeps on going. Although you have to shift up very delicately. Or when I say delicately, very specifically should I say. If you shift up too early, the revs die and it just bogs down. You lose all your acceleration. It's a tricky one, and it's got so much high-speed grip as well. The aero really does kick in. However, the acceleration understeer is chronic. So, although it feels like you've got a hell of a lot of grip in the corners, you're just constantly waiting to put the accelerator down, because otherwise it's going to plow straight off in a straight line into the nearest fence. Oh, we have a little bit of stutter from rFactor 2 there. Luckily we don't head into the fence at the end of the carousel, but that is just rFactor 2 being rFactor 2. So when you roll all of these handling characteristics, bleh, I can't even speak. When you roll all of these handling characteristics together, what you end up with is a car which is insanely fast, but feels like it isn't. It feels like you're just constantly waiting. It feels like you can go so much faster, but the moment you try, it just doesn't want to cooperate. It's like I just feel like smashing the throttle and just putting more steering lock on now. But it ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. You just gotta be patient. You just gotta wait. Maybe I'm just not driving it right. Maybe the tyres and brakes aren't quite up to temperature yet. But it's very much, you point it in a straight line, you floor it, you keep your right foot pinned down, build up as much speed as possible, and then you just baby it through the corners, which is a very, it's completely different to the Aston Martin Gte that we've just been driving. So I guess the proof is going to be in the lap time. Now, okay, looks like we're going to do another outlap. I'm going to cut forward, guys, and I'm going to show you the full lap when we're on it. 1 second. If you hadn't guessed already, this run in the McLaren Senna LMP1 GTR car is relying quite heavily on video editing. I'm still yet to complete an outlap here. I've had a few more attempts, and I think I'm getting used to the car now. It's a very specific driving style. As we reach the end of the straight, we are topping out around about 320, 330k. But we're going to be very early on the brakes here. At the risk of being too early, I don't want to be too late. Anyway, let's wind it up and let's trail up here at the Nordschleife. I think I've got it. It's all about being slow through the corners, or what feels like slow. It's definitely not slow, it just feels like it is. The speed in the car is weighted very heavily towards the straights. I would say it's got balanced performance. It's definitely making up a lot of time on the straights. So much so, like I said, it makes the corners feel a little bit tame in comparison. Anyway, make it through the first section relatively unscathed. So just acceleration understeer is just nuts. Anyway, let's have a lift off, just a confidence lift. Can't quite go through the flat yet. I'm sure we can with a bit more practice, or a few setup tweaks. Shift up to 7th at the last possible opportunity so we get the most out of the top speed. And then flat through here, and what seems like incredibly early on the brakes. And incredibly slow through this corner. All the adrenaline, the excitement just dies out of the car. It's just very, very tame. Yet it's still very, very fast, as we're now already back up to 300 kilometers an hour again. Be very gentle through this section. Just bleed the speed off. No sudden movements. And avoid the curbs. This McLaren Senna does not like the curbs. I've found that out several times on my, I think, 10 out laps here. Anyway, hopefully we can keep it on the island and actually set a representative time. So I'd be very interested to see how it compares to the Aston. I'm definitely expecting a sub 6 minute. No doubt it'll be sub 6 minute. Although I'll be very interested to see what it is. It might be the fastest lap I've ever done around the Nordschleife. Faster than the Volkswagen IDR challenge that I did over in Race Room as well. That's a very fast car, but this, I feel it's faster as the car just wants to go in a straight line under brakes. I have to modulate my input very carefully. Obviously I want to brake because I want to slow the car down and not go into the fence. But I also want it to turn and not go into the fence. So just finding that balance. And you know, quite early on in the piece, if you've left it too late, because you just do the angles, you do the math. Or should I say, you do the mathematics, and your brain tells you that you're not going to make it. Doesn't matter what you do. No amount of turning, no amount of lifting off or braking is just not going to get you out of the fence. So it's kind of good in that way, that you know you've messed up, but it's kind of bad because you can't do anything about it. Anyway, going up the hill, 300k. I don't know whether to pop it into 7th gear and bog down or not. I'll pop it in, see what happens. And back down to 6th again. Take the apex speed. Woo! Running it just out to the edge of the track there. Confidence lift over the top of the rise. And again, what seems like just way too early on the brakes, but works out, well, works out a little bit late actually. Anyway, towards the carousel. I haven't quite worked this out yet. It feels like there's no grip, it just feels so pedestrian on the inside. But I don't think the outside will be faster. I don't know. Anyway, onwards with the lap. Obviously the corners are coming at me a lot faster now. Oh, okay. They're coming at me a lot faster. So much so that I just can't keep up, I can't concentrate, and I've stalled the car. That was going so well as well, but we didn't get a cut track. We didn't get a warning. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to see if I can beat the Aston's time even with that spin, because that'll be a good representation of how fast this car is, if we can bin it and still be faster. Anyway, onwards. Let the understeer kick in over the rise. Hold it in 3rd, 4th even. Avoid the inside curb, and oh, it's just getting messy now. So much understeer again, it just doesn't want to grip. Maybe I damaged the tyres in the spin, but I'm going to finish the lap no matter what, guys. I'm going to get a time on the board. And I'm going to see what it is. And then I might go for one more. just to see how fast this car really can go. But I tell you what, I do enjoy driving the Aston Martin GTE a lot more than this. Yeah, this might be faster. Yeah, if you're into like peak performance, you want to be the fastest person out there. If you want to be in the top division of endurance racing in rFactor 2, and well, just a fast car in general, then this is where it's at. But I wouldn't say it's particularly enjoyable. Maybe it's just not quite clicked for me yet, but I don't know. When you want to drive a fast car like this, you want to rely on aerodynamic grip, which you don't have. Or you want to be able to rely on decent brakes, which this car doesn't have. You also want to be able to rely on, you know, some pulling power in the engine, which this car doesn't have. If you shift too early, you lose all the speed. There's no ABS, so even if you do brake just a little bit too late, you're going to be locking the tyres. You're going to be flat spotting the tyres. You're going to be constantly paranoid about braking too heavily. It's going to be a very delicate car to balance on the edge. So what did we do? We did a 6 minute and 9 seconds. We completely mess up the first corner. Now the challenge is, I'm going to go for another lap. I'm definitely going to get sub 6. But how far into the 5 minute mark can we get? I'm going to cut forward now, guys. I'm going to keep doing some laps. And I'll edit back in when I actually manage to complete a clean one. See you guys then. Okay, so after what feels like an absolute eternity, I think I'm finally about to put a clean lap on the board here in the Senna. This has been a very frustrating experience, to say the least. You just cannot push the car, not in a traditional sense of the word anyway. Not in a way that I'm familiar with, and you have to push it in a way that's very different to the Aston which we've just been driving as well. Anyway, across the line, what kind of time have we got? It's a 5 minute 50.315. I actually thought I would be going a little bit faster than that. Oh, but I cannot be bothered. After 24 attempts and only getting one clean lap in, I cannot be bothered to try that again anytime soon. Okay then, so there we have it. If I'm being honest, the McLaren Senna is not really my cup of tea. Now, it might just take a particular driving style to get the speed out of it, but it's just on the whole been an incredibly frustrating experience just trying to get a clean lap on the board. You can't push the car in the brakes, you can't push the car in the corners, and it is fast. I mean, it did a 5 minute 50 around the Nordschleife. That's not slow, but it just doesn't feel satisfying to drive. And going back to the Aston Martin GTE as well, it doesn't really add anything to rFactor 2 that you can't already get with the endurance pack. I mean, it's a nice car to drive, it's fun, it sounds good, it feels good. I mean, by Studio 397 standards, it is absolutely fantastic. It's a great car. If it was the first GTE car that you got in rFactor 2, but it isn't. You've got the Porsche, you've got the BMW, and you've got the Corvette, and I just don't think it's worth it unless you're an Aston Martin fan and you really want to drive it, or if you want to get a sneak peek on the LMP1 regulations for next season and you really want to drive the McLaren Senna. I don't know. However, that said, the Nordschleife is an absolute no hesitation. You have to go and get it right now. It is incredible. The track is absolutely fantastic. The level of detail is insane. The road is insane. The surroundings are insane. I haven't even tried wet weather. I haven't even tried nighttime, sunset. I haven't tried green track. I haven't tried full track. It's just on the absolute basic settings. The Nordschleife is absolutely incredible. So much fun to drive. and it really makes me want to try other cars that I love around here. It may be ridiculous, bear with me, but the USF 17 could actually make a really good race around here. You probably only get 3 laps out of a normal video, but hey, I might try that. Watch this space, guys. But yeah, the 2-strong pack with the Senna and the Aston Martin, unless you're really a big fan of it, don't bother. But if you're a fan of any kind of sim racing in general, you have to get the Nordschleife. It is absolutely out of this world. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been informative and somewhat useful, or entertaining just watching me crash all the time. If you enjoyed the content, then don't forget to leave a like and a comment. I would love to know your thoughts. And if you want to see more, press subscribe, because I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos from the Nordschleife in the future. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I've been DDF Racer, and I'll see you next time.